All right, third time is the charm. I've been trying to do this and the audio is not working. So I wanted to talk about this topic of being the alpha energy in the room. So I'm filming this. Oh, can you hear me now? Hi, Justin. Let me know if you guys can hear me. This is the third time. Hopefully this works. Yay! Okay, good. It works. Fantastic. All right, third time is the charm. So I wanted to talk about this idea of being the alpha energy in the room. And this is something that I posted about, I think, like 2 weeks ago now. And a lot of you really resonated with this idea. And so I wanted to just open up the conversation about it because it's important. Especially for people who are highly sensitive or identify as with the trait of being empathic. So what does this even mean? Being the alpha energy in the room. This is not a new idea. It's not something that I personally came up with. This is something that one of my mentors spoke about regarding energy management. And she said that highly sensitive people tend to, because they are so sensitive to energy, they will tend to walk into a room or to be around other people and they will automatically, or their default setting is to attune to the vibration of the room. We could also say they, at a more practical level, they tune in to the mood of the room. And so what she was saying is that ideally, highly sensitive people, it's better for them and for everyone else if they have this ability to be the alpha energy in the room so that they are not just automatically tuning into whatever the fuck is happening in the room. Because, sometimes it's great, but sometimes it's not great for them in that moment. So this means if you walk into a room or you go to work and the energy is people that are like crabby or they're like having a bad day or they're maybe like really amped up and really excited. If you are highly sensitive, you may automatically kind of like, even a lot of this is unconscious, like at an unconscious level, match that energy and sort of like tune in to, some people would use the word vibration. I like to use the word mood because it just is more practical. So I think there's nothing wrong with this if it's a choice. I think that's the biggest distinction. So it's not bad or undesirable to tune into energy. It actually is a skill, and it is a highly valuable skill when it is used with respect and with reverence. I think that this skill becomes problematic when a person is not aware of it, or it's used in a way that just doesn't feel good to them. So, if you tune into the energy of the room and the energy of that room is bubbly and effervescent and it's exciting or curious or uplifting and light, then yeah, like that's fucking go to town. That's great. But I think that it needs to be a choice. So how do we do this? There are a few different ways that I have that I think work for me, and then I'm curious what works for you as well. So I always like to start with the most tangible. The biggest thing is that it's helpful to be physically connected to your physical body. So we can do this proactively and in the moment as well. So proactively, this looks like, and Marion Woodman spoke a lot about this, about body work, physical exercises that literally strengthen your body, literally strengthen this tangible boundary that you have between you and the outside world. That has this effect of not just strength and boundaries, but it has this effect of creating, Marion Woodman would call it a strong container. It is literally a container for your soul, for your spirit, for your energy, and also for your presence. And I have found, just in my personal experience, and then the people that I've worked with as well, is that when we are physically active, like think exercise or body awareness exercises such as yoga or qigong or tai chi, running, walking, all of those things, they connect you to your physical body, to your container for your energy. And this creates a strengthening of the presence. And the other piece of this too is that when you're in the moment, when you're walking into a situation or you're existing in a situation, being aware of your physical body, like reminding yourself how it is that you hold your posture. There's a lot of research that's been done that your physical posture can convey to yourself and then also to others, and then also to yourself, a sense of presence. There's some TED Talk, I cannot tell you the woman's name right now, but she did this talk about how when you, they've done studies when you do like the Superman pose before an interview, people have done like 50% better. And it invokes this sense of presence, not just that they're reflecting out, but that they're feeling on the inside. And so for me, this body awareness, this body presence, body connection is huge. And I think it's more than just physical body language cues. It's how you feel inside, and it's how you feel connected to yourself. So that's tip number one, is the body awareness piece. Loving Angel says, saw that on Grey's Anatomy. Yeah. It's bananas. They've done so much research on it, and I wish we learned things like that in school because it was highly valuable. The second piece that is more at an energetic level is, what do I want to say about this? So the second piece, it is more energetic, and this is more about paying attention to your preferences, to your needs, to your desires, to your feelings. And this is important because there's a lot of women that I work with who are highly sensitive people, or they identify as empathic, having the empathic trait. And some of them are challenged with even like deciding or voicing what it is that they want. And I think that there's a difference between that and being flexible and like, go with the flow kind of personality. And this is a skill that I want us all to work on, is to be more comfortable acknowledging and stating your preferences. And this can be as simple as what table you would like to sit at when you walk into a restaurant, to the kind of food that you want that day, to, if there's something that you really love or really don't love when your partner or a friend does it, like stuff like this. And I know this sounds like really mundane, but it's important because it helps you to connect with the strength of you, not just the strength of you, but it creates a stronger connection to you as an individual. And that's what this is really about, this alpha energy in the room thing. It's about you walking in and saying with your energy, this is me, and here I am. And I have substance. I am tangible. And yes, like I may choose to be flexible and to go with the flow, but that is a choice that I make, and this is my presence. And so this is a way to do that in a more practical level again. So that's the second piece of this, is being more comfortable voicing your preferences, giving yourself a moment to contemplate what your preference is. If someone asks you what you want, and this is how it starts, I think, with some people that really have a challenge with this, is just making a decision. If you don't care, still pick something and stick with that and be like, I pick this and this is what I want. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but it flexes that muscle. And I think that when a person is so like go with the flow and flexible, and even like people that are highly sensitive, they've typically grown up in an environment where they needed to be very flexible. And it was not a priority for them to state preferences. It could have even been actually like very dangerous, or could have jeopardized their safety, or it was perceived as jeopardizing their safety. So this is kind of like a whole other TED Talk, but people who are highly sensitive, they tend to have grown up in environments where they really needed to tune into the environment and what was happening, and the mood of their parents or their caregivers, to be like, okay, how should I respond? They kind of had to have this like chameleon kind of sense about them in order to feel safe. And that is not the reality anymore when you're an adult. When you're an adult, you don't have to read the environment to make sure it's safe. I mean, actually, I shouldn't say that, because there are some adults that unfortunately live in situations where that is required. But most of us, it's safe to say what it is that you want and don't want. My point is, some people have not had to like build this as a skill set to say, this is what I want. So, so that's the second part, is to state your preferences, make decisions, even if you feel like you could go either way. Decide and then be like, yeah, this is what I want, and I'm gonna assert that. I think that I may leave it there. Thank you all for being here on the live, and I'm curious, what does being the alpha energy in the room mean to you? How do you do that? What works for you? Or what's your challenge? This is something that I want to talk a little bit more about. I think that meditation and any kind of energy work can be super helpful, but I would always with this kind of stuff, because it is a boundary topic, I would always default to physical body connection, to stating your preferences, like putting yourself out there. And then I think the last piece, which I'll talk about more maybe in another video, is having someone to like bounce ideas off of. I think that can really help, because I think a lot of times we get kind of like sucked into what needs to happen in an environment, and it can be helpful to talk to a friend or to talk to someone who is unbiased from the situation to reflect what's realistic and what's reasonable, and where maybe how do I say, like, where you can assert yourself more, or where someone is doing something and you can call that out, or it's not appropriate. And so I think it can be helpful to have that extra bit of relational support as well. Let's see, I'm going to look at the comments really quick. Loving Angel says, my challenge is having to inform people of my plans. I can't just do things, because apparently I leave an emotional impact by not involving them in said plans, if that makes sense. That is an interesting, my challenge is having to inform. I'm curious, like, why do you need to inform them of your plans? Like, that's and then people get upset with you if they're not involved in the plans. I think that's an interesting, I'm curious to know more about that. Like, is it because they feel excluded from your plans? By not involving them in the plans. This is something too, so I'm curious to hear a little bit more about that, Angel, because I think this is, you're too independent. Well, I think this is a thing too, is that not everyone understands when you want to do something by yourself. Not everyone understands when you want to have personal time, alone time, and it sounds like maybe that's what's happening. And I think that there are things that we can do, like explaining to, especially if it's someone that you're very close with, like significant other, family friend, or even just a friend that you're very close with, I think that you can express to them like, hey, I really want to spend some time with myself, or I really want to experience this on my own. And I think that you can share in a way where the emphasis is on you wanting to connect with yourself versus wanting to push them away. And I think that, we can explain that. This is something I'm actually reminded of, a session that I had, a woman that I've worked with a few times, where she found herself having to often explain to a person very dear to her what was happening in her internal process. So I'm sharing that because I think that you can explain to people in your life, but sometimes you can explain until you're blue in the face and people just don't get it because they don't understand what your experience is like. And it really sucks when that happens. I think the other layer of this is that when someone doesn't understand and they get mad, how can we let them have that experience? And just, that's how they feel about it. And they feel that way because they don't understand. And it's not your job to make them understand. I think that you can, share, okay, like this is what's happening with me and this is why. And, it's not personal that I don't want, it's not that I don't want to spend time with you. I also just would like to spend time with me. And, but at a certain point, it is not your job to educate people on, like, it's not your job to take responsibility for how someone else feels. And Angel says, exactly, I'm called crazy like all the time just because I want to go off on a week-long trip alone. Okay, so that is fucking bullshit. I hope that you don't put up with that. Or I guess it's difficult because these are people that you care with, of course. I think it's totally reasonable for you to say, hey, I get that you don't get it, and please, I would just ask that you respect what it is that I need. And this is something that's really important to me, and I'm not crazy. I just am a human being that's different than you. These are really difficult, these are some of the difficult things to navigate as a person who's highly sensitive. I personally think it sounds fucking amazing to go off on a week-long trip alone. So it's like, and these kinds of things, there's never, or not never, but there's often not a point where you're like, okay, I can just have this conversation with this person, then I'm good, I'm done. It's like, it kind of is this dance of like, how do you navigate being in a relationship, friendship, platonic, family member, or otherwise? How do you manage being in a relationship with a person who does not understand the way that you are? And to a certain extent, you can do, you can do this, but I think it requires certain things. Like, it requires acknowledging that person is never, or may never fully understand, and that it's not your job to make them understand. And that doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make them bad either. There's nothing wrong with them either. They're just different, and you guys are just, not seeing eye to eye. My hope, my wish for friendships like that is that that neither party makes the other feel bad, even in like a teasing kind of way. Because I think teasing is not. It doesn't invoke affection and intimacy, even when there's lighthearted. I think when it's teasing about something like this that we're talking about. So I hope that helps. I don't know if that's how helpful that was, but yeah, it's definitely, I feel for you. It's a tricky thing. Again, I think it's not your job to educate them. It's not your job to take responsibility for their feelings. And I think that is some of the biggest work that we can do is, as highly sensitive people, is not taking responsibility for someone else's feelings or frustrations, especially when we seem to, or we feel like we're the cause of that in some way. So that feels like a good place to end. Thank you guys for being here. And again, let me know how this resonates with you. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and hopefully I will talk about it more before the end of the week. Wishing you a wonderful rest of the evening, and I'll see you soon.